world around us. What is that cray cray and what does it mean? Yeah, baby. Let's get into the craziness. Another day in paradise. Here we go. So today's Friday. It's Venus Day. I did just put out my blog on the meanings of the week and how we can utilize the different weeks, the days of the week. Hey, Declan Joe, the days of the week and the meanings of what they are and the energy of what they consist of, and how we can utilize that energy each and every day. For instance, if you ever wonder why everybody goes to Costco on Saturday, well, Saturday is Saturn's day. It is the day of getting things done. That's what Saturn does. He wants to organize, get things done. Let's go. Let's, have, have things done, mow the lawn, clean the house, do things like that. So, uh the blog has all the information on that. So if you're not subscribed to my blog at this time, let me know and I will get you on the list and stuff. So there goes my crazy dog. So welcome. Let's get into some of the other 411 of the craziness. There's some really yesterday, I'm just tired of, she just goes freaky. Yesterday there was a TikTok, and the TikTok was from a guy, I think he's called the Bearded Viking, and how the Bluetooth symbol is a pagan symbol. And I just love this kind of shit, because the Bluetooth symbol is a derivative of two different pagan signs of the runes put together. It's by Harold Bluetooth. Bluetooth is a unifying symbol. And who knew? Who knew? Like, I didn't know. And I found it was great. A few people came to me and said, "Oh, yeah, I knew that." And I'm like, "Really? Well, why didn't you share it out?" Like, come on. How many times we see so many different pagan symbols, and same with the days of the week. They're integrated into our life and we don't even realize it. Same with the months, or the months, and how the months are um brought to us by different gods, and the reasons that there's different reasons why the different names of the months, like, why does July and August have 31 days? Because they were both Roman emperors and they wanted to have the most days of the months. So July and August, everybody said, well, it's because of summer. Well, yeah, well, yes, that, no, not really. But anyways, but I find these facts so interesting, and they're so ingrained with everything that we do. And we don't even really realize that. And I feel like it's very important for us to start to bring a lot of that information out to people, so that we can just notice that, hey, there's a lot of things that are ingrained in our world, in our society, that we have just ignored, or we don't even realize, the things that are happening. Same with, on our, if you have the weather app, if you scroll down on your weather app, it tells you when the sun rises and the sun sets. It gives you the moon phases on there too, and where the moon is. And I love that, right? If you go, I'm just thinking, do they still have newspapers? On newspapers would, there's a page in the newspaper that would tell you the moon phase. And the moon phases are important, especially if you live in coastal cities, on the coast, and that, because the moon will tell you about the tides. A lot of times, with, if you are living in a coastal city, like, say, New York, or you live in LA or Vancouver. Now, a lot of those newspapers would tell you the times of the tides. And then if you look at the times of the tides, how they correlate with the phases of the moon. So awesome. There's this is still a part of our lives, a part of what we do, but we don't really integrate it as much anymore. I also posted on my Facebook page a Victorian Edwardian schedule. And I was looking at that schedule, and and I was thinking, I'm like, oh, it kind of makes freaking sense on how, if you want to have a productive day or a productive week, and just looking at what they do and how it's organized. Even if you went into say a 1950s housewife, and how they organized their day. And it's interesting because people wonder, well, how did they get everything done? Well, they organized it. And even though a lot of people say, well, I don't like to be organized, or I just like to go by the flow. Well, even if you go by the flow, you're still in some form of organization. But I feel like it's really needed that we need something to help us and guide us. Help us so that we are not feeling like we are sort of all over the place and flopping with the wind and being lost in our social media, right? And how many times we just sort of end up playing games on our phone instead of saying, okay, what can I do that can be productive? Instead of me playing on this game, is there something I could do that can be productive? Or is there something else I can do? Instead of doing this, can I read a book? Could I, oh, well, hey, you know what? There's that closet I need to tackle. Maybe I need to go in there and start tackling that closet. Things like that. And I feel like that's very important as we are coming into um, frequencies and energies that are really taking us on a crazy, crazy loop. So let me see where oh, here we go. I have my notes in one of my colored pens. So I feel like even today's a big day. So we have Jupiter at 17 degrees and it's squaring Saturn at 17 degrees. So they're in a 1 degree orb. And this doesn't happen very often. The last time it happened is in 2016. Now, Jupiter is a benefic. It's wonderful. It wants things for us. It wants to do things. And Saturn is the malefic. And this is where if you go back to 2016 and with this square, it's like it's a pivotal point. You are pivoting on different things in your life. And I think this is really to start to see the vision and see whatever those blocks are. I feel like this is a very productive day. This is a very beautiful day of really looking at the synchronicities and the opportunities that are coming in for you to really say, okay, you know what? I can start working on this, both big things and little things. And looking at where, oh, that's really overwhelming me. I gotta sort of tone that back a bit. Or, no, okay, I need to work on this part a little bit more. This is where it's like the new information that markers and blocks out. So it helps you to differentiate between the internal, and it doesn't make, this is what I wrote, doesn't make it so difficult because of Jupiter being that malefic. So it's bringing in, us being prepared, that preparedness. And even with that Uranian energy, which is at 27 degrees, it's getting ready to retrograde, and it's going to square the full moon on Monday. So be prepared for the unexpected. Monday's going to be a huge day to be prepared for the unexpected. This whole weekend is. But if we are starting to sort of like, okay, you know what? I have my schedule. Now, the thing is about the schedule, you don't have to say it has to be done. Allow for the flow to come in with the schedule. Allow for that energy and those frequencies to come into saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to have to really let this slide because I have to go over here and do this. Right. And it's not so much about being sidetracked, but it's about being, okay, maybe having to reprioritize something because something else came up, something else has happened. So looking at where those things that are where you need to prioritize, that's my word. And with Venus coming in, and she wants to pick up the energy, even though she's in Virgo. So she really wants to pick this up, wants to get things going. Now we do have Lilith that just happened to retrograde back in there. Now Lilith can be a right thorn in your side because she wants things done, but it's not that she doesn't like, sometimes she doesn't like the cards that are dealt to her. Okay, with Lilith. Now, she doesn't want to claim herself a victim. She's the one who overcomes the victimhood because I am coming to fight and defend for what I believe is true. And I think she's kind of the epitome of that person, that woman who has been like, well, this is what I've been dealt with. Well, I'm not going to be the victim. I'm going to charge ahead and I'm going to be that warrior and I'm going to make sure everybody else doesn't have to go through or, force them to not be in that victimhood, if that makes any sense. So Lilith being coming back into Virgo is really can pick up where you want to be like that very strong-minded, strong-headed person that, oh, I'm going to make sure nobody else, like forcing other people to do things a certain way because for you it didn't work that way, so nobody else should be able to do it that way, even though that might be the way they need to do it, if that makes any sense to you. So there is with this, with Mars being off the square to Saturn, there's a little bit of relief there, right? But I find sometimes when there's, sort of like that relief, that's when craziness can happen. I mean, this is when things start to pop up and people start to really see things in where there has been a frustration, where there has been some craziness. So we're seeing within the world right now the mpox coming out. And I heard like about a week ago, like the WHO made this I think, well, it's Friday, so I'm going to say on Monday or so they started coming out with this information. Now it's sort of trickled out now onto mainstream news. Now I can guarantee you with this coming out on mainstream legacy news that everybody's going to be, not everybody, but you're going to see those weirdos wearing masks in their car. It's not airborne. Just saying, it's not an airborne, you can't catch it that way. But people are going to be like, oh, got to put the mask on again. So, I mean, people are going to find any excuse. And it's funny how human beings are. They're going to find any excuse to, I guess, it's like almost where just control me, tell me what to do. I can't think for myself. I just want to live in this bubble, but I need somebody or something to tell me what to do. So, oh, this is what's happening. Okay, I'm going to follow that with you because I'm too afraid to take the full responsibility of my reality and step into it, to speak out about it. And this is another agenda that's coming forward that is showing to people, another, point in mark saying, hey, have you noticed how crazy this is? Are you being that observer? Are you being that person who is stepping into their power and saying, you know what, this is stupid. I'm not following your protocol. I'm not following your BS. So this is another awakening, I'm going to say awakening point upon the journey to get people to really see, because all of a sudden as this came out, lo and behold, the stocks in that elixir started to go up. The things of different programs that are affiliated with it started to rise. So all of a sudden these people started to make money. And this is where it's like, holy crapola, Batman. Like, are you seeing this? And more of it's coming in people's faces. Like more of this is coming out where it's like, where it was kind of hidden before and they wouldn't release any of that type of information. Now it's like, hey, look at, there's this. Are you noticing?
Should
But
add my
still,
coffee
see,
here.
it's Steven. I'm live, but it's in the kitchen. I just placed it on the counter. Okay. Whew. So he's going off on a tangent now. So this that's coming in is for us to really realize how we need to create a positive transformation for ourselves. And in the astrology, it's not, we're going to see the highs and the lows of it Like we could go here, we could go here. This is to find that middle ground, right? That middle one. And that's where the positiveness. It's not getting overly frantic or excited about something. It is about us finding that middle part because of pressures or I just like this vacuum that's coming down and saying this is what you need to be believing in and doing. I mean, we now have a premier who is pretty progressive and quite libertarian coming in and now saying, oh, well, I want to double the population of Alberta. And Albertans are like, okay, we can't even afford a house. We can't even afford the rent, let alone anything else. So this is like these little, awakenings. These are these like, okay, what's going on? And and even what's ever also happening in the UK. And how are the powers like it's like shaking your head and seeing it's like, okay, you didn't charge these people over here for doing what they did, which was absolutely wrong, and we got it on video. Yet we have a priest who just got stabbed, who was a priest on the barracks, and this and they are claiming it as a terrorist attack, on just went there and stabbed him, and almost killed him. So this is where these craziness are happening, and we're like, okay, we need to find, it's not to get like inflated and crazy about it. It's about taking a sensible self and taking that step back and saying, okay, all right, I can see there's craziness on the horizon, and there's a lot of unexpected, and that's coming forward in the coming weeks and in the coming months, and that we have to stay strong within ourselves so that we are not going out and just going ballistic on things. So we need to find that where we can creating an energy, but don't need to be sort of in it and trying to control it. So being in that creative mode and allowing for that creating energy to come in for us. One of the reasons why I did the blog today on the different energies of the week, where, understanding that Sunday, Monday is probably a better days for me to take my weekend. Everybody says, well, it's got to be Saturday, Sunday. No, not necessarily. I mean, Saturday's a really busy day. Saturday might be an excellent day for you to get a lot of creative things done and work with it. Venus is it's a beautiful day. Friday's a beautiful day of looking at sort of self-love, self-reflection, taking some really nice time for yourself, maybe not pushing yourself as much on this day. That's why you find by Friday, people are sort of like done, it's like, no, I just want to, take my cup of coffee or take my cup of tea and just sort of not do as many things. This is when, especially administrative, this isn't a day to give somebody a lot of administrative work. It really isn't, So I think there's just sort of allowing us to pivot and allowing us to pivot now until next year and bringing those pivots in, and we're going to start seeing things more clearly. So if you're starting to work on any special projects or you're wanting to start something, even with Mercury retrograde and Mercury's gone back into Leo, bringing that centeredness, that love, that peace within yourself and saying, okay, this is what I want to do. And as we pivot, we're going to start seeing things a lot more clearly. And we're going to be starting to see things in a more unfractured way. Thank you. So to move forward with something different and do something different and watching those mind games, because the ego is going to come in, and the ego is really going to play a lot of craziness within our mind. And, where we think, oh, it has to be this way, or we got to get this done, and this is what we have to do. And in doing that could make us very feeling inadequate, could bring in a lot of anxiety, can bring in a lot of other things that are going on within inside our own selves. So it just is like it's Friday. So it's like, ah. So honoring ourselves today is a really big one. Now, the moon readings are going to come out this Sunday. So if you are wanting to get your moon reading, and especially with this, I mean, every moon reading I feel is a nice way of looking at the frequencies that are coming in for you for the next 2 weeks. And I know many who have ordered it for the year really are embracing, really take it to heart, those readings, and sort of like, okay, what did mama say, and then go back and look at it. And some I know one person takes notes, which makes me very nervous. Like, you take notes? Yes, I take notes. So just because of some of the things that you say, even though she can go back and listen to it, but the way her brain works, I think she's one of my Virgos. The way her mind works, that's just, or she has a lot of Virgo. I think she has a Virgo rising, actually. Um, it's easy for her to do the things, to do things, or to getting her to understand the energies that are coming in. So getting the moon reading is a very helpful guide. It's a little mini tidbit. It's 15 minutes. It brings you some insight of what's going on and how the frequencies are with you. Now, the other thing that I'm going to be starting, and it's going to be, we're coming back into, is the astrology club. And the astrology club is starting on the 9th. Now, that is to do with coming together, discussing our charts, discussing the different frequencies that are happening within our own lives, and then taking a look at the transits. What are the transits? Because it's a club, right? So we want to come together and talk about the transits and how they are influencing different things that are happening in your life at this time, and showing you how you are able to handle it, how this is a guide that is showing you that, okay, there's going to be some bumpiness, or there's going to be some craziness that's coming in. Oh, Declan messaged me because I just got an epiphany of something that we were talking about a while ago, but just got to me now, of something that just happened to you recently. Sorry, I just had to do that. That's how spirit works with me. I just like, blah. That's crazy. That's just fucking crazy. Anyways, this is, these changes that are happening in and around us. And the thing is that at first, when you see things that are going on in your chart, sometimes like, well, no, that doesn't relate to me. Oh no, everything's okay there with me. And then it's like, you might be going through something, you don't really realize it. And then after you go through, it's like, oh shit, now I understand what that was. I didn't understand it, as I seen it, but now I understand. So I know when it happens again, or if I see something very similar, that I am able to prepare for it, or, as Uranus is the unexpected, bring forth, allowing myself to glide into it or work with it, and not get my ego and get myself all into a tizzy with it all, with that. So it's just interesting how this as above, so below works. And in the more I work with the astrology, and even now with the working with the days of the week, it's like, oh, okay, I'm finding an ebb and a flow. I'm finding where, okay, this can really help me to do the things other things that I'd like to do. This can really help me to um, have a better vision of the things I want to do, and go and step forward into it. So very cool. Final piece before I pull a card. Final piece. I promise. I try to promise. I like to thank everybody who's reached out and really have helped me and my family in these crazy tribal, not tribal, but crazy times right now. And I know many of you who've followed my journey. My journey is not exactly a a road paved with gold, a road that is, like I had someone come. She goes, what goes on in your world? And I have to go back to my chart. I really do. I said, because I've come in with this chart to release a lot of karma, that means I got to come in with a lot of um, humility, and to be humble, and to be able to allow for people to come in and help me. It's important, because in allowing people to help me allows not only for me to grow, but is allowing for them to grow. This is a part of that journey that I'm on. I can't be the person that says, I'm going to do it all and this is what I'm doing. It's allowing me to open up and broaden that road, because it also teaches me to have faith. It teaches me to come back into the hope, and to show me that there's a lot of beautiful souls out there that are willing to come forth out of the blue and just say, you know what, you need a helping hand. I'm here. I'm not asking for anything in return, which is a huge piece for me, because I do get many who come to me who just want to take and just expect something, or they expect to get something and not have anything in return, which I send them out blessings, I send them out love, because it's sometimes that's just what happens, right? And um it can be very difficult when things like that happen. uh Yesterday there was a bakery here in Calgary, and this woman had started the bakery in 2020. She went through a program for entrepreneurs to start her bakery. It's a gluten-free bakery. Now this woman is she doesn't, I mean, she started from scratch. She's not making millions at what she's doing. She's a very much a person that looks to different organizations or different things to help people in need. At the end of her day, she gives away a lot of her stuff to street people, to people who need it. She's the type of person that with the last dollar in her pocket, literally, she will give it away. That's the type of person she is. She's very soulful, very beautiful. And I've come across her a couple times. I've seen her feed and I've seen the things that she's done. And, those are the type of people more that we need in our life. Her place was broken into, and her front door was smashed. And the thing is that she went in early, and everything, and then the money, whatever money was in her place, was stolen. um in some respects, it was kind of good that she had the money there, because the people could have done worse damage in trying to look for the money, and it wasn't a lot. It was probably from the day before sales, right? Anyways, things like that, when you see, she got up, she cleaned up her place, cleaned it all up. Police came in, took the report. um will anything be done? Will anything be recovered from what she's done? I'm going to say probably not, but it's good that she made the report anyways. And it's, she'll also need it for her insurance, which also could be that her insurance goes up, so she's the one who's going to have to pay more for insurance because of the break-in, which is crazy. And then I saw a post later. She said, everything, I'll be open by 2. And her post came in. She says, I'm open at 2, and I'm going to stay open a little bit later. So if anybody needs to get their bread or whatever they need for gluten free. And then there's an app that I got, and she's on the app of whatever was left over. Right now, what she'll do is that she'll bundle it up and sell it at a deal too. So, which is great. I love when I see people doing that instead of throwing their stuff in the garbage. Like Starbucks throws their shit in the garbage, which I can never understand that. Never understand that. I got in trouble one time. Got in trouble a few times for because there was leftovers at the end of my shift of bakery stuff that was to be marked out. that I would put it in the staff room for the staff. Well, you can't do that. Well, I knew staff that came in on a regular basis that could not afford a lot of food, could not afford food. So if there was leftover sandwiches and stuff like that, I would put it in the back there so that they could eat it, you know? And I thought that was just be nice. But head office told me that I couldn't do it because that's not, I don't know. They said no. For whatever stupid reason, head office, these big wigs have ideas, especially when you get into big companies like Safeway or Save on Foods or any of the the amount of produce that they throw out is just crazy. And they put them in trash cans now that crunches them up so nobody can get it. And some of it is like still good stuff. I know Save on Foods has a thing called what is it called? Loop. And I remember it's when I worked at Save on Foods, so they'd have where certain things that would marked out could go to Loop because it got picked up on a regular basis, right? So I think it got picked up every day. So these, that's very cool. And a lot of places have food bank stuff and where food bank, but the food bank stuff doesn't always get picked up on a regular basis, which I thought was kind of weird. But anyways, I digress. Where I was going. Back to the young girl. And Mateus is running around and the dog is freaking out. There's no other reason. Plus, anyways, she's just being crazy. But this is where I feel, when you get somebody who does some really, really great things, and really helpful things, um, needs to be supported in some way. And either through prayers or even supporting their business in some way, because there's some really wonderful people out there, entrepreneurs that are really trying to do something for the community. And I think when I see small businesses reaching out and trying to do that, and some of them you don't even know about, they don't even say anything, you know? I think it's such a beautiful thing. Health Canada that says that they can't do it. Yeah, I know, but the thing is that there's a lot like day old stuff they can. If it's day old pastries and things like that, they can give it away. They can help other people. I think it's very important. And the one thing, especially with the frequencies that are coming in and the changes that are coming in and the amount of people that are going to be going without food. Right now at our food bank, it's a month out. I thought it was 2 or 3 weeks. It's a month out. So in order for you to be able to go to the food bank, let's say you need food, you have to wait a month. Crazy. Simply crazy. It used to be where you could call and you could come in that week. Now it's not. That's how busy they are. That's how busy they are. So when you have to wait a month, could you imagine a mother like with a couple kids and she needs food and then she's like, "Well, you got to wait a month." Okay, so what does that mom do between now and then? That's when you get people, just regular people in desperation. And that's where you see, especially with the I'm going to go back to the woman with the bakery who does and who gives out to people. And when Steve and I, and this is a long time ago, and there's so many people using it because they have to. Like for us, I'm just going to put myself out there. Um we just got our utility bill, and like I do where it's equalized payments, and then at the end it's it's never a less than with these equalized payments, and with the amount how the utilities have gone up, we now have to pay for our utilities. And I don't know how we're going to do it, just through the grace of God. I'm putting it out there that our utility bill for the next month is over $600. On pay, like right now, Steve and I bring in $1,200, and 90% of that is rent. Now, that's us. Could you imagine if it's just a single mom, an average person, not even a single mom, even a mom and dad who are working, both working, have a mortgage payment, have to pay their taxes, have the utility payments. A lot of them have not taken any vacation this year, or if they did, they went camping or something. Really have cut back on a lot of things, have these extra payments that are coming out. Now, September is a really harsh month for people with children. You got school fees, and within those school fees, you got to look at, okay, I got to pack my kid a lunch. That means I got to have lunch food in my house now. Not only do I have to have lunch food in my house, oh, I need an indoor outdoor pair of shoes for my kid. So now I have to go to it. Now, I most parents will go to Walmart and get an indoor outdoor pair of shoes, but it's a fact that it's that extra expense that you have to put out. There's where kids want to go back into their programs, whether it's hockey, whether it's ringette, whether it's curling, whether it's squash, badminton, any of those things all cost an extra fee, and all of those fees are going up for families. And it's a difficult one. It's going to be a difficult one. And there are different programs that parents can apply to, but now you got to think of where they had X amount of people applying for those sports programs, that now you're going to have double the amount of parents applying for it, which is very sad. It's wonderful that these programs exist. It's wonderful that these services are there, but these services are being pulled to the brink. And we're seeing that within the astrology, how everything is going to be pulled, like it's like this stretching of everything's being stretched to a point where it's going to break. When it breaks, when it comes to this broken part, this is where others, like light workers and that, are there to pick up the pieces, to hold things together, to see, okay, where can I, where am I working, what am I doing? This is where a lot of people, and I'm going to put it out there, and I know a lot of people are going to get angry with me, where a lot of jobs where you think the job is safe, it's not going to be as safe as what you think it is, right? So things getting changed within the job market and how the jobs are going. And that's because companies are getting pulled to the brink. Companies are getting pulled. It's not like there isn't work that needs to be done, but then there's other costs that have to be taken on by certain companies. And if the company was mismanaged in some way, or these things weren't taken, um, it gets it gets put back onto the employees and the people that are working for it. Home Depot in the United States just laid off over 6,000 people. That's in the States. It hasn't come to Canada yet, but I can see it coming to Canada, even though there are help wanted signs, but the help wanted signs are very minuscule, and depending on how busy the Home Depot, there might be one Home Depot that's the busy one, and then the other ones aren't as busy, or they don't get the trafficking. And some of the Home Depots that are really busy are the ones that are, have the landscapers and stuff that, have the contracts with them and stuff, and get the stuff from them, or the builders and things like that. So this is interesting. I just think it's interesting in watching it. I just felt I'd like to share a lot of the information and the things that I have been seeing over the past little while, and what's coming in for us, and how that is really playing a huge role on how people are going to be getting through. Now, here I'm going to throw out too is that I just got a notice that the Bank of Canada is going to lower the interest rates 3 times by the end of this year. If they do that, awesome. We'll see if that does. Is that going to help with everything else? And I'm going to say no. Yeah, it's going to get people into houses, maybe, but the price of the houses have increased. And that's because of the amount of people that are within an area that are driving up that cost. So it's not just that the interest rates might be lower, but the inventory for the housing market is not there. We're not building enough for everybody. And then you have to look at the infrastructure, because now we're going here in Calgary because the infrastructure is not being kept up to date, right? So there's that type of problems that are going to be coming up, even though taxes have gone up, but the taxes seem not to be allocated to where they need to go. In Calgary here, they're building an LRT to nowhere because we might be building out there. So you're going to put, what is it, $6.25 billion out into an LRT going to nowhere because we're going to be eventually building there, instead of looking at the infrastructure that already needs the help and looking at the buses that need to be maintained in Calgary because winter is coming. How many times people hear, I mean, Calgary is one of the worst places to catch a freaking bus. I'm honestly, I've been to Vancouver, I've been to Edmonton. Their systems are a hell of a lot better than Calgary. Calgary really sucks. Where the infrastructure needs to be placed back onto how can we maintain what we do have, and that yes, that we are going to eventually build there, but until, let's look how we can maintain it. There's areas that are built right now that don't have a bus system. The reason why they don't have a bus system is that the city has says, well, everybody drives out there, so we don't need to put a bus out there. So could you tell them to turn down that?
Turn it down.
So the bus systems aren't there, there's no bus system, or if there is, it runs every 1 to 2 hours. Good luck in getting to work and getting home again, because they stop at a certain time. Anyways, that's my little bitch session there. But it's amazing how things are changing and changing rapidly, and so this is part of the great awakening for us all. So let's look at some cards. And if you're wanting to get your readings for the between now and the end of the year, it's $360, and you get a reading twice a month, full moon and new moon. So your next reading will be this full moon in Aquarius, which is squaring Uranus, going retrograde. Oh, the joy of these times we live in. Hang on, I'm just shuffling, guys. I'm just shuffling.
Somebody buy a reading.
Steve says somebody buy a reading. All right. What do we have? No place like home. No place like home. Of course, there's no place like home. Authenticity. Coming home to yourself, feeling at home, arriving at a place where you just fit in. So feeling like there's no place like home. Then we got reversed. Going the distance. Interesting. So you're wanting to feel at home, but you have to go the distance. You have to get out and do the things that you need to do. So going the distance, so you feel safe and secure. You want to feel safe and secure. That's the whole thing. You want to feel that safety and security. Yet there's something that's pushing to get out there, bringing your dream of life, bringing that of, looking at the long term. And there's a lot of fluctuation in that. But you want, and it's that fear because you want the safety and security of home, yet the fluctuation, the opportunities. So there's, looking at what you can do for the long term. And this is about the authenticity alone will keep you in alignment. So being true to yourself, knowing that you have the safety and security of your home, being true to who you are is very important in order for you to build up what you want in the long term. Remember, there's a lot of pivoting right now, and that pivot is going to help you for the next year. So this energy, especially with that square from Jupiter to Saturn, is getting you to pivot, getting you to look at long term and look at those long term goals so that you can see the full gamut of it. Remember, things go in cycles. We're in a cycle of change. We're in a cycle that is bringing in a lot of different diversity around us, within us, so that we are able to go the distance, so we are able to see the things that we need to see. So this is a reminder that although it may appear that we've gone backwards, the truth is that you are standing at a higher point in your life. There is opportunity there for you, but we have to get on our eagle's perch to see things in a clearer way. Understanding that you are safe and secure and things are there. It is rapidly changing. We need to move with those changes, not get into our head. So that we feel that we are overburdened and we feel like we're on death's doorstep. But in order to step into our emperor, into what we want to take charge of, we need to understand that, yeah, change is there. We got to pivot with the change, see how we can work with this change in order for that we can grow and become more prosperous within our life. Whew, there you guys go. I want you all to have a fabulous day and a great weekend. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you in all that you say and all that you do. Book a reading if you want to book a reading, or buy me a coffee. You can always buy me a coffee. Coffee is a good thing. It keeps stomach going throughout the day. So thank you so much for all of your blessings, and my heart and love go out to all of you.